I remember one Christmas looking online for gifts for my girlfriends for the holidays. I always like to give my girlfriends things that are handmade and support other women's programs. I stumbled upon Thistle Farms when I was looking, and I read their story, and I liked the line that was on all the products, that these products are handmade by survivors of prostitution. I bought those products and I gave them to my girlfriends, and they loved them. It was at that moment that I decided I needed to go to Nashville and learn about their program and how they run it so that we could bring it here locally in Snohomish County for women survivors here. When I went to Thistle Farms, what I learned is it all comes down to love. That's the message. Love heals. Sex trafficking is happening here in Snohomish County in plain sight, even though we don't see it. It's no longer just an issue of big cities. It's everywhere in the country. Here in Snohomish County, we can see women being trafficked on our local streets and up and down the I-5 corridor. Oftentimes, victims of trafficking are products of unsafe families, early child abuse, the foster care system, and all are easy targets for pimps. They know exactly who they are going to target within just a few seconds of meeting them at a mall, at a cinema, at a park, at a school. And the general public is none the wiser. People can see a nice-looking woman walking down the street with what they assume is her older boyfriend, when really that's a pimp. And he's going to be selling her. He may sell her on the street, he may sell her through an internet website like Craigslist. But the general public doesn't recognize that, and they may just think she's a drug addict, because drugs are often the only way that women can cope with the things that happen to them on a daily basis. My interest in tackling the issue of sexual exploitation or sex slavery is deeply personal. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse, and I know the pain and loneliness of those wounds, and I know that if things had been different in my childhood, I easily could have been trafficked myself. Trauma, especially early childhood trauma, has lasting effects both on the mind and the emotions and the body of victims. Sexual abuse is only one of the many risk factors that gets girls involved in sexual exploitation. Other things include drug abuse, alcohol abuse, poverty, living in a high crime area where there aren't a lot of opportunities, trying to escape to what they think is a better life by a sweet-talking pimp is an easy way to get involved in sexual exploitation. Despite all those risk factors, though, if there's a supportive community there to help lift women up, they're much less likely to get involved. If it wasn't for the love of my family and my friends that helped me through my experiences, I know that I would have been a trafficking victim. The people who embraced me in love, not in perversion, are what healed me and helped make me stronger. This is what Peoria Home aims to be, is that supportive community that lifts women up in love. A safe place for them to heal, both physically and emotionally, and to obtain skills that maybe they missed out on in life. They may need help completing their education. They may need help learning life skills that we all take for granted. And they may need help just rebuilding themselves, physically and emotionally. And it takes time. 30 days, 60 days in a rehab center is a good start, but it takes a lot longer than that to complete the healing that these women need. Peoria Home wishes to fill that need and provide a 2-year rent-free residential community for women to grow in. The darkness that resides here in Snohomish County needs to be addressed and needs to be brought to light. People aren't aware of it. No matter what your age is or what your gender is, we can all agree that people need to be loved and accepted. Sex slavery does none of these things, and as humans, we need to do better.
When I decided I'd had enough of the life in the trade, I wasn't sure how to live a different lifestyle. Social services were available to help with many of my physical needs, like food banks and compassionate medical care, but I couldn't have stayed out of the trade without the help of people around me who genuinely cared beyond my physical needs. Friends who drove me to my appointments to heal my broken body, or to the therapist for talk therapy. They also cared for my spiritual and emotional needs. My heart. My heart had been broken by years of abuse and neglect. My body had been used for someone else's pleasure and power so many times it all blurred together. Having someone to turn to as I learned to feel the things I have not been allowed to feel for 20 years. The friend who sat with me as I cried and was able to tell my truth. The friend who let me sit at her dinner table and handed me a homemade meal, not something purchased at a convenience store or microwaved. Around this table is where I began to heal.
Everybody needs a place to call home, a community of support and love so that they can work on their healing. I've had to work on healing my childhood sexual trauma, and at times it still revisits me, and I need to walk with people who love me through those hard times. Just like the survivors of sex trafficking will need people to walk with them long term while they work on their healing. This is the goal of Peoria Home: physical safety, emotional safety, love and support, education and job training, but mostly a place to call home.